Abraham Lincoln, the light in the darkest hour. Part 1. Introduction and the English Parchment Method. Hello everyone, and a very warm welcome back to English Parchment. We are so happy to have you here today. If you want to improve your English while discovering the lives of the people who shaped our world, you have found the right place. Today we are looking at a man whose face is carved into mountains and printed on millions of dollars, but whose heart was simple and kind, Abraham Lincoln. Before we start the story of the great emancipator, please take a moment to like this video and subscribe to English Parchment. Your support is what helps us grow this community and create these long, deep dive lessons for English learners all over the world. Today, we are using the step-by-step context technique. 1. Logical flow. Lincoln was a lawyer. He loved logic. As you listen, pay attention to how he builds his arguments using words like therefore, consequently, moreover, and nonetheless. 2. Emotional vocabulary. We will use many words to describe his personality. Words like melancholy, resilient, humble, and witty. 3. The 2,200-word challenge. This is a long-form video. By staying until the end, you are proving that you can follow a complex historical narrative in English for 20 minutes. This is a massive victory for your fluency. How does a boy born in a one-room log cabin with a dirt floor, who went to school for less than 1 year in his entire life, become the President of the United States? He was a man who failed in business, lost his sweetheart, and lost 8 different elections before he finally won. He was a man who suffered from deep sadness, yet he was the funniest person in any room. Today on English Parchment, we go behind the legend of the tall hat to find the real Abe. Stay with us until the end, because we will see how Lincoln's message of charity for all is exactly what the world needs right now in March 2026. Part 2. The Boy from the Log Cabin. Our story begins in February 1809 in a tiny one-room log cabin in Kentucky. Abraham's parents, Thomas and Nancy, were very poor. They were pioneers, people who moved to the wild, unsettled parts of America to build a life from nothing. Life was incredibly hard. When Abraham was only 9 years old, his mother died from milk sickness. This was a devastating blow to the young boy. His father eventually remarried a woman named Sarah Bush Johnston. Luckily for Abraham, Sarah was a kind woman who recognized that her stepson was special. Abraham was a giant, even as a child. By the time he was a teenager, he was 193 centimeters tall, 6 feet 4 inches. He was incredibly strong and could chop wood better than anyone in the forest. But Abraham didn't want to be a farmer or a woodcutter. He had a hunger for books. Because his family couldn't afford to buy books, he would walk 30 kilometers just to borrow one. He would sit by the fireplace at night and read by the light of the flames. He taught himself grammar, mathematics, and history. This is a vital lesson for us at English Parchment. Your education is not something that happens to you. It is something you go and get for yourself. Part 3. Honest Abe and the Power of Stories. In his 20s, Abraham moved to New Salem, Illinois. He tried many different jobs. He was a shopkeeper, a postmaster, and a surveyor. It was during this time that he earned the nickname Honest Abe. There is a famous story that once, when he was working in a shop, he realized he had accidentally charged a customer 6 cents too much. After the shop closed, he walked several kilometers in the dark just to give the woman her 6 cents back. People trusted him. He was a man of his word. But he was also a man of stories. Lincoln realized that the best way to explain a difficult idea was through a funny story or a fable. He would stand in the middle of the town square and tell jokes and stories until a crowd gathered. This was his natural training for politics. He learned how to connect with people, how to make them laugh, and how to make them think. He eventually decided to study law. He didn't go to law school. He simply bought some law books and studied them until he passed the exam. He was a self-made lawyer. Part 4. The House Divided. In the 1840s and 1850s, the United States was a house divided. The northern states were becoming industrial and did not want slavery. The southern states depended on cotton and believed that slavery was necessary for their economy. This was the biggest moral and political problem in the country. Lincoln entered politics because he believed that slavery was a monstrous injustice. He wasn't a radical at first. He just wanted to stop slavery from spreading to new parts of the country. In 1858, he ran for the Senate against a famous politician named Stephen Douglas. They had a series of 7 public debates. These Lincoln-Douglas debates are famous in history because they were the first time the whole country really listened to the arguments about slavery. Lincoln famously said, "A house divided against itself cannot stand. I believe this government cannot endure, permanently half slave and half free." He lost the election for the Senate, but he won something more important: the respect of the North. 2 years later, in 1860, the new Republican Party chose him as their candidate for president. In a shocking victory, the rail splitter from Illinois was elected the 16th President of the United States. Part 5. The Darkest Night. The Civil War. When Lincoln arrived in Washington, D.C. for his inauguration in 1861, the country was falling apart. Several southern states had already left the Union to form their own country, the Confederacy. They didn't want a president who was against slavery. Shortly after, the American Civil War began. It was a brother-against-brother war. Families were divided, and the country was bleeding. For the next 4 years, Lincoln lived in a state of constant stress and sadness. He suffered from melancholy, what we today call clinical depression. He would walk the halls of the White House at 3 a.m., unable to sleep, thinking about the thousands of young men dying on the battlefields. Lincoln was not a military man, but he taught himself military strategy by reading books from the Library of Congress. He went through many generals who were too afraid to fight. He faced criticism from everyone. The North thought he was too slow, and the South thought he was a tyrant. But Lincoln had a will of iron. He believed that the United States was an experiment in democracy, and if it failed, the idea of freedom would die everywhere. Part 6. The Emancipation Proclamation, 1863. In the middle of the war, Lincoln realized that he had to change the purpose of the fighting. It wasn't just about keeping the country together anymore. It was about human rights. On January 1st, 1863, he signed the Emancipation Proclamation. This was a document that declared that all slaves in the rebel states were forever free. It was a dangerous move. Many people in the North were angry and didn't want to fight for the freedom of black people. But Lincoln knew it was the right thing to do. He invited the famous black leader Frederick Douglass to the White House to listen to his advice. For the first time, black men were allowed to join the Union Army. They fought with incredible bravery, proving that they were citizens in every way that mattered. Lincoln had turned a political war into a moral crusade. Part 7. The Gettysburg Address. In November 1863, Lincoln traveled to Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, where a massive and bloody battle had just taken place. He was there to dedicate a cemetery for the fallen soldiers. The main speaker of the day spoke for 2 hours. Then Lincoln stood up. He spoke for only 2 minutes. He gave a speech of only 272 words. It is known as the Gettysburg Address. In those 2 minutes, he redefined America. He spoke about a new birth of freedom and a government of the people, by the people, for the people. At first, Lincoln thought the speech was a failure because it was so short. But the next day, the newspapers realized that those 272 words were the most powerful words ever spoken by an American leader. He had explained exactly what the country was fighting for in simple, beautiful English that anyone, from a B1 learner to a professor, could understand. Part 8. Victory and the Final Act. By 1865, the North was winning the war. Lincoln was re-elected for a second term. In his second inaugural address, instead of talking about victory or revenge, he talked about healing. He said, "With malice, hatred toward none, with charity for all." He wanted to bring the South back into the family, not punish them. On April 9th, 1865, the Southern General Robert E. Lee surrendered. The war was over. Lincoln was happy for the first time in years. He wanted to spend his second term rebuilding the country and ensuring that the newly freed slaves had the right to vote. On April 14th, 1865, Good Friday, Lincoln went to Ford's Theatre to see a comedy play. He wanted to laugh and relax. During the play, a famous actor named John Wilkes Booth, who was a Southern sympathizer, snuck into the president's box and shot him. Lincoln died the next morning. He was 56 years old. The grief was massive. A funeral train carried his body from Washington, D.C., back to his home in Illinois. Millions of people stood by the tracks in the rain to say goodbye to Father Abraham. Even his enemies in the South realized they had lost the one man who could have helped them recover with kindness. Part 9. Lincoln in 2026, The Power of Truth. Why are we talking about Abraham Lincoln today, on March 20th, 2026? In 2026, the world is a very complicated place. We see divisions in every country. We see people who refuse to listen to each other. We see fake news and the struggle for truth in the age of AI. Abraham Lincoln is the antidote to our modern problems. He reminds us that character is more important than image. He wasn't a perfect man. He was physically awkward. He struggled with sadness, and he made mistakes. But he was honest. He was willing to change his mind when he saw he was wrong. In 2026, we need Lincoln's humble strength. He taught us that a leader's job is not to shout the loudest, but to listen the best. He taught us that democracy is a work in progress, and that every generation must fight to keep the house together. His life is a reminder that the words of one man, if they are true and spoken from the heart, can survive for centuries. Part 10. Conclusion and your next step. Thank you so much for staying with us until the end of this 20-minute journey here on English Parchment. You have just completed a massive English lesson. You have practiced your listening, expanded your vocabulary with words like emancipation, malice, and integrity, and explored the heart of a great leader. Lincoln once said, "Whatever you are, be a good one. If you are an English learner, be a good one. Keep practicing, keep reading, and keep asking questions." Now, I have a question for you. Abraham Lincoln believed that a house divided cannot stand. Do you think it is possible to unite people today in 2026 when everyone has such different opinions? Tell us your thoughts in the comments below. In English. It's the perfect way to practice your persuasive writing. If you found this video inspiring, please like it and subscribe to English Parchment. Every new subscriber helps our community grow and allows us to keep bringing you these deep dive stories. We will see you in the next video, where we will look at another legendary figure who changed our world. Keep reading, keep listening, and keep growing with English Parchment. Goodbye for now.